Hi, this video is from interview.com. Interview.com is a job portal. In this video, I'm going to talk about Spring Data support in Spring Framework. What is Spring Data and JQuERY repository? The methods that is supported in JQuERY repository and how to use it. I've written a very simple example for save. How do I save an entity object, or how do I create a row in the database table using Spring Data support? So why do we need a Spring Data at all? What is the main goal of Spring Data? Spring Data helps us to avoid many boilerplate code. I just want to show you an example. In the tradition, without Spring Framework, we used to write so much of code to persist data in the database or to retrieve data from the database. So we have to write a lot of code, try catch exception, try catch, and all this stuff. Okay, begin transaction, connection, close connection, and this is the boilerplate code that we used to write before using Spring Data. So the main goal of Spring Data is to avoid boilerplate code, and also very handy code, very simple configurations we can do, and we can get ready-made code. Okay, we don't have to write manually a lot of code. I'll show you an example so that you can understand how it's very easy to use Spring Data to persist a data with a entity with very less code. Okay, so this is my entity class. Hotel is my class and it has some attributes, and hotel table is already created in my database. I'm using Derby database. And about Spring configurations, I have two main annotations: enable transaction management and enable JQuERY repositories. Very important annotations in order to enable the JQuERY repository feature in my Spring application. And I have given here the component scan package detail, so that all my repositories and other beans will be scanned by the Spring framework, and it will be registered as a bean in my Spring framework. This is about Spring configuration, and I want to show you the main class called repository, which is going to help me to persist my data in the database. I am going to talk about save method. How do I save using the JQuERY repository in the database? So I have to create an interface, and I have to extend from the JQuERY repository. I have to give the entity that I'm going to deal with, and I'm going to give the identifier. So you might think, I have an interface, where is the implementation for this? The implementation will be generated by the Spring framework. Okay, so I'm going to use this hotel repository in my service layer. So I have auto-wired here. Can you see this? This interface is nothing but a simple interface which is extending from the JQuERY repository. And when I do an auto wiring, when I run this class, what will happen? Spring framework will generate code for all the methods. I just want to show you all the methods supported in the JQuERY repository. So these are the basic CRUD operation methods that is supported in the Spring framework. Okay, it's a JQuERY repository which is supported in the JQuERY repository. Okay, you can ask me who is going to generate the code. It is Spring framework. When I do an auto wiring, I'll show you the object that is inserted. So Spring is generating a lot of code for all these methods. Okay, and I didn't write any code. I've just extended from the JQuERY repository. As I told you, there are ready-made code available when you use Spring Data. You don't have to write any query and all, but you can customize using query annotation and named query that I will talk about in future videos. Let me create a simple hotel object, and I'm going to give it to the repository, and repository is going to save the create a hotel object now. My Spring container is starting now, and I'm going to create a hotel object here. Okay, and I'm going to call my service class. So here, if you see, hotel repository is a simple interface that I have written. If you see here, the proxy object This proxy object is injected by the Spring framework, and Spring framework has generated a lot of code for all the methods. Say the save method I didn't write, I've just extended from the JQuery repository. That's all I've done, nothing else. I have not written any code for saving this object at all. So Spring framework does behind the scene. And transactional is very important. So this annotation will take care of beginning the transaction, ending the transaction. I don't have to worry about those transactions. So I have to annotate the public method with transactional annotation. That's all. So now the repository is generated by the Spring framework. It's very handy, ready-made code available. Now I just want to show you the table row created after executing this save method. So if you see here, we have created one row successfully using JPA repository save method. So this is the code that I want to explain to you. So save method we have just done, and one entity has been persisted in the database. So this is the purpose of Spring Data module. There are other methods like find one, delete, find all. I'll be dealing with that in the next coming videos. Hope this video is useful and informative. Thank you and all the best.